We have the Deputy Attorney General on the line with us. We also have a private legal practitioner also joining us on the phone lines this morning to delve into the matters and the reactions that they have sparked since the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayene's press conference yesterday. First, to Dr. Srem-Sai, thank you so much for your time with us on the program. The Attorney General, your office has been in the news over the past couple of days in relation to the work you're doing to recover looted funds belonging to the state. The latest coming from the BOG's governor's residence search that the minority is still calling a raid and the subsequent discoveries that have happened. From where you sit as the Deputy Attorney General, could we have approached any of these in a much better way? For instance, the search at the BOG governor's residence.
Definitely, when you look at the issues of law enforcement and human rights, there's one thing that everybody would agree with, is that there can always be a better way to protect human rights. So I would not sit on national television and create an impression that whatever we are doing or what we will do is the best. So the very concept of human rights protection or law enforcement and the rule of law is it's something that we always strive to get better at. So from that perspective, yes, there can always be, a better way of doing things.
Let's backtrack a little bit to the search at the BOG governor's residence, where some of these incidents are also coming out from. There are concerns that the minority is still raising, for instance, that the search was not carried out properly, although there was a search warrant. Have these concerns come to your notice?
Of course, we have. These concerns have come to us as state institutions. We do not only deal with formal ways of concern, we also monitor what happens on the media, in the media, on social media, in parliament. So we are definitely aware of the concerns that have been, raised.
Looking at the matters that have come out as a result of the search, for instance, the minority is saying that some amount of money, some 10,000 cedis, was taken, some jewelry belonging to the wife of the governor was taken. When it comes to such processes, when a search warrant is obtained and the search is carried out when the court is aware of all of that, how should it properly be handled?
The minorities' complaints are not general complaints of how things were done. They were very specific. They made very specific allegations. They said jewelry was stolen. They said it was a raid. They said monies were stolen. I think at a point, they also said that food was stolen from the kitchen of the home. In fact, they called the national security operatives who carried out the search. They described them as hungry. So we are not here dealing with an allegation of general criticism of how things were done. We are dealing with specific allegations of criminality. In that regard, we have taken our time as a responsible state institution to, first of all, we took our time to, usually we are briefed before these exercises are done, because it is under our authority. We applied for the warrants, so we are briefed before it's done. We advise on how it should be done. We go to court to secure the warrant, and when the operation is done, we are immediately briefed. if a brief is not sufficient and we see that there are other areas that we need further briefing, we ask such briefing to be done. In this particular case, we were briefed twice, because after the first briefing, you remember last week I came out to say that it was done in accordance with warrant, and the manner in which it was done was in accordance with law. Yeah, so that is what we said. But when the specific allegations were made, we did another round of briefing to be sure that what we did, the first briefing was done, was not misleading. We spoke to our officials. We asked for evidence on what they did in terms of recording. So certain things were. So we did further briefing. We took further briefing from them, and yes, the briefing showed that the search was done and the basic rules of searching were complied with. So, for example, if you want to conduct a search, the standard procedure is that on your arrival at the premise, whoever is in charge of the premise, you have to introduce yourself and show your ID or identify yourself. If the person doesn't trust you, ask for further identification. You disclose you show your warrant. The person is entitled to read the warrant. After reading the warrant, you advise the person as to his right to counsel. If the person wishes, he gives you counsel of his choice, and that is done. Then the person guides you throughout the search, and when you are done, you leave, and then that is procedure. And this particular procedure that I've outlined was followed. And we also have not been able to, the person whose home was searched has so far not raised any issues with us. So Dr. Addison has not raised any issues with national security, neither has he made any complaint to any state agency indicating that something untoward has happened.
Right.
So we the only time that we hear this is when the minority in parliament, speak. And we are willing, as a state institution, to accept any complaints and investigate them and make sure that people's rights have been, violated in the process, have been given proper remedy in accordance with law. So that is where we are at this point.
Right. Let's now move to the case concerning Dubois, the press conference addressed by your boss, the Attorney General, yesterday. The lawyers representing Kwabena Dubois, who is the former Director General of the National Signals Bureau, and his wife, they are accusing your boss of violating their client's right by publicly declaring them guilty before trial. Is that what you have done?
Again, I think I understand the concern that the minority has raised. It is not a proper thing to use state agencies or public power to harass citizens. It is not a good thing to use public power to execute citizens. It is not a good thing to use public power to violate the rights of citizens. So, and when state power is used, especially criminal procedures are commenced against a person, the key thing is that in our society in Ghana, whenever a policeman arrests you, you're already condemned in the eyes of the public that you're a criminal. I can't deny that fact. So anytime you come in touch with any police situation, you are likely to be tagged as a criminal regardless of the outcome of the investigation. So we are very much aware of that. So you will notice that for yesterday we made this press conference. And from the press conference, you would notice that this investigation has been going on for some weeks. And no one knew anything about it. We kept it because we know that when people hear that we are pursuing someone with a criminal justice system, they already will judge the person. Okay, so we are very much aware of that. We are also aware that when you are conducting investigations at this stage and you bring matters concerning the investigation out, it may mar or derail or even disrupt the investigation and make it sometimes even fruitless. So we are aware of that. So if you watch, we've been quiet on this until Monday. Secondly, you would also notice that anytime you hear of anything about investigations, as far as this oral program project is concerned, it is not coming from the Office of Attorney General or any of the law enforcement agencies. It's coming from the minority. So, for example, if you take Dr. Addison's search, we did, the search was done, we completed, we left. No one knew anything until the minority leader went to the house and took a picture with Dr. Addison and displayed it and made all manner of allegations about that. So the point I'm trying to make is that the Attorney General and all the agencies under the Attorney General, and indeed the President himself, we are not interested in using the criminal justice system to malign people's character, to harass them, or to persecute them. We will use the criminal system, justice system, to do exactly what it's designed for, that is to investigate crimes and prosecute those that we find culpable. Now, the reason I'm saying all this is that I understand the concern that the minority is raising, but what the minority is not addressing or is not looking at is this other side, that those of us who use public power, we have the mandate of the people, and whatever power we are using belongs to the people. And when you are working for people, you need to keep them updated. We call it transparency. In a democracy, you cannot have a meaningful democracy if you are not transparent. The people, you cannot have a meaningful democracy if you are not accountable. The people who give us power, we have told them that we are going to investigate crimes. We told them that we are going to recover loot. And it will be completely, wrong for us to ignore all our promises and ignore the values of transparency, accountability, and proceed as if we have powers of our own. It is in that spirit of transparency and accountability that we thought it wise to let the people of this country know that the work you have asked us to do, we are doing it, at least how it has gone so far. So it is a balancing act between the private interest of the persons who have been, who have been investigated, and the interest of the public to know. Something about democracy is that when you are not transparent and when you are not accountable, that is where propaganda can, prevail against you. So, for example, let's take this example. When we went to Dr. Addison's home, we took Dr. Addison's privacy into account. Are not coming public about anything that we did. And indeed, since January, our investigation, we have invited over 50 people. We have interrogated over 50 people. Many people have been arrested. We tried as much as possible to keep those things under wraps. So if I mention to you some of the people that we have that have been arrested, interrogated, and discharged, those people who are on bail will be shocked. So we are very much aware of the private interest, but we also are aware of the public duty to be transparent. So we put these things together and we decided that, look, what we have discovered so far on this particular case, we should make public. So that is in no way, a disregard for a person's private, privacy or interest. And it is in no way trying people in public. In any case, the court itself is a public place. So the argument that when you announce to the public your findings of investigation and you inform them of what you want to do next, it is not fair if the minority is saying that amounts to trying people in the public opinion or court of public opinion. It is not fair and it is not right. And it is also not democratic to suggest that.
Deputy AG, we also have on the lines private legal practitioner Osman Al-Hassan. I'd like for you to hold on for me as I bring him into the conversation. Osman, thank you.